Hello everyone, welcome back to OC Recovery's YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be a little bit shorter, so if you want to watch more in depth on the topics I'm going to talk about, you can go into the YouTube channel and find videos where I or other moderators or Rob really break down specific topics. So today I'm going to talk about 5 pieces of advice that are ill-advised for OCD sufferers. I understand why a lot of these might seem like great ideas because some of them can actually be very helpful for creating good life structure and getting people on the right path with discipline. But as a chronic OCD sufferer, and many of us know, a lot of these actually don't get under our core fears. So I made a Facebook post about this, and so it's going to be directly from the Facebook post. So the first one is, thoughts are thoughts usually cuts it for OCD. The answer is no. So thoughts are thoughts is, let's be real, it's true. A thought is a thought. The problem is when you're deathly convinced of your fear, and so as a non-sufferer, if someone's watching this who's a non-sufferer, what it feels like to a sufferer, it feels like absolute life or death. Our brain will not let us off the hook. It feels as real as your arm is real in front of you. So telling yourself a thought is a thought might help create a little bit of distance in the beginning, which is a good thing to help building life structure. But many chronic OC sufferers will not be let off the hook with thoughts or thoughts. We see this in thousands of people that come to OC recovery or other people who use RBT or CBT and acceptance as other forms of going through. So thoughts or thoughts is not going to be the primary tool. It can be used in a form of mindfulness in a way, but it will usually not get people to to release on chronic suffering in the way that most people want. So number 2 is breathing, yoga, meditation, and grounding techniques are, as simple and straightforward as people think. So grounding techniques in its basic sense, in my opinion, should never be used for a sufferer or a non-sufferer. I just was having a conversation with one of my friend's daughters who's been having panic attacks for years, and she's been doing, see 5 things and smell 4 things. And listen, when you do that, especially when you have a disorder, it might help bring you to the current moment in a mindful way, but people are using it as an escape. You have to ask yourself, when you're feeling uncomfortable, are you doing what you're doing right now to escape the way you're feeling? And 99.9% of the time, the answer is yes, which is understandable because you're suffering and you don't want to be suffering. So there's another one of Erica's cups. I'm almost perky. But, yoga and meditation, I didn't meditate for 18 months. I did it on my tinnitus journey, but it was very compulsive, so I cut it away. I've been bringing it back in the morning, 10-minute morning meditation after 18 months. I do it because I like being more calm and still in the moment. It's been helping. I've been only doing it for a week, so I can't really see any benefits. But I no longer do it to escape feeling a certain way. So you have to be careful with these types of tools, but they can be good for lifestyle habits. Now, number 3 will be diet. I've never met one person who's recovered by changing their diet. Now, this is something that I specialize in my doctorate. So anyone knows that understands evidence-based nutrition understands that balance is key. People that do, when you cut an entire food group, not to get off topic, but people that go like keto and cut carbs out completely don't last. It's not sustainable. Keto is not sustainable long-term. Intermittent fasting is usually not sustainable long-term. It's also not magic. So, people get very, very black and white on their views. They'll go from eating popcorn and Cheetos and McDonald's all day to eating only grilled chicken and broccoli. You took one form for the other. So it's about balance, enjoying the food you eat, trying to control your portions, and realizing you can go out to dinner and stuff like that without setting your goals off track. But all of this does is help you set up a healthy lifestyle habit. It's why we talk about lifestyle habits so much. This is so important for anyone. My buddies who are heroin addicts, ex-heroin addicts, alcoholics, obsessive-compulsive disorder, PTSD, GAD. Changing your lifestyle structures has great benefit for bringing you to places that you want to go to help create discipline. But in no way is changing your diet by yourself or removing sugars from your diet. And as many people who understand biochemistry, most things are transferred into sugar in your body once you eat them. So it's not as simple as not eating sugar because people will be like, well, you can't eat any fruits, but that's a good type of sugar. It's very nonsensical when you understand the topic, but that's a totally different subject. So changing your diet completely in order to, reach recovery is not going to happen. And we have to talk about that. Number 4, acceptance doesn't work for me. Well, this isn't true because when I talk to people that, not that everyone needs to use unconditional self-life and other acceptance to reach this area of recovery, a robust recovery. It is helpful for, I would believe, almost everyone. Some people can go about thoughts or leaving things there, like Claire Weeks's recommendations or Paul David's. That will not work for me because I'm so convinced of my fears when they latch. It's very hard for me to create distance with the thoughts in the beginning, and the sensations. Mine are mainly sensation and fear-based, more panic sensations, than it is actual repetitive intrusive thoughts. But that doesn't matter. So, you know, acceptance is just acceptance. It's not a tool. When it's used as a tool to escape, so I hear people, I use the example, you know, I did 12 weeks of CBT, crash course, it didn't work anything for me. Well, even when you're saying radical acceptance, it's an oxymoron, because acceptance is an internal surrender, and it can't be radical. Radical and acceptance actually move in completely different directions. So it's like saying, it's almost like saying you are a skinny obese. It actually doesn't make sense whatsoever. I'm a sober heroin addict. These are two completely different opposite ends of the spectrum. There are times where, you know, and also when you're talking about radical acceptance, that when I understood it in the sheets I've read in the psychology literature and people that I saw before I met Rob, they were like, say all these radical acceptance things in the moment, and mantras tend to turn to reassurance behaviors and mantras. And that's not what we really want. I can't remember what the fifth one was. But the fifth one, deadlines. That was number 2, but we'll move it to 5. So deadlines is actually, if anyone is telling you that there's a deadline for OCD, they're giving you poor advice. I can understand how some people might recover in 6 months to a year, but many of us will take a couple years. Some of us might even take 4 years. Who knows? Everyone's on their own journey, and yes, it can be off-putting, but that's another way to work on acceptance. Like for myself, I've been working on recovery for, I don't know, 19 months, which isn't that long. And I've had some recent really bad relapses with stuff that I kind of let go dormant while I worked on my sensory motor. So I have a new thing to work on. And, you know, this is just how the journey goes for some people. So putting deadlines on your recovery is not good. I definitely recommend picking out some of these topics and going to the YouTube channel and watching some of them in depth, because I break them down specifically, especially the building lifestyle structure and stuff like that, why it's important and an adjunct to recovery, but those things alone will usually not bring you to recovery. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.